Welcome back to Digging Deep, the podcast where we offer bereavement bites for time-pressed professionals and where we explore the trends, challenges, and stories that are shaping the future of the death care profession in Canada. I'm your host, Heather Kiteley, President and CEO of GFD and second-generation funeral director. Today's guest offers a behind-the-scenes look at cemetery operations, sharing how she manages the business side while staying grounded in the emotional care of families during their most difficult time. But before we jump in, if you're enjoying Digging Deep, don't forget to follow, like, comment, and share. Your support helps us keep these conversations going. Joining us today is Christina Furtado-Burke. Hey, Christina.
Hi, Heather.
Christina is the Family Services Coordinator at Woodlawn Memorial Park in Guelph, Ontario, beautiful city. Christina has had the privilege of serving families in the bereavement5ector for over 10 years. She supports families with both pre-need and at-need arrangements. Kind of hard to juggle both, I think. We can maybe talk about that a bit. As well as designing their memorial needs, so helping people figure out what kind of monument they want to have and designing that. She organizes Woodlawn's events, including Mother's Day, a Walk to Remember, Father's Day, Classic Car Night, and a Remembrance Day service for families and the community. Outside of work, she is an avid soccer player. Pretty good?
Not too bad.
Not too bad. I love it. And she enjoys spending time with her family and friends. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you so much, Heather, for having me.
It's
a pleasure and it's an honor to certainly be here and have this conversation with you.
It's wonderful to have you here. Yeah, I've been really looking forward to this conversation. I come from the funeral side of the business, and so any chance I have to talk to somebody on the cemetery side, I find that I learn so much, and so I'm excited to have you here. Plus, I've heard so many wonderful things about you, right? Of course,
all good.
All good. All good. Paul talks about you all the time. So why don't we start with learning a little bit about who you are? Tell me, I always refer to it when I meet with people in the bereavement sector as, what's your origin story? How did you get here?
Mm-hmm. So what brought me here, this is my second career. So I did transition into the bereavement sector. My initial background was corporate security.
I think that's a natural transition.
Everything. There was a little bit of a change in that industry that had to be done with the company I was with. And at that time, it really made me pause and think, what's next for me? What do I want to do? What's going to fuel me and fulfill me? And it wasn't until I came across a posting for a cemetery position. And then I thought that was it. And to kind of give a little bit in behind that, reason for that is myself and my family, we went through a loss. We lost our daughter. So that experience alone gave me a really good understanding of what grief is and walking through that journey of grief.
And so many of us in this sector, right? And certainly so many of the people that I speak with on a regular basis on this podcast come to the sector from a place of actual experience. And I think that, when I think about what do we want, what is some of the most important things that we have to share on this podcast for the people who are outside of the sector. So for those of you who are listening who are not from the sector, is getting a glimpse of the people that are behind the desks, the people that are behind the suits, right? Because so often we're there and we're professional and we're caring, but the place of caring comes from generally something very personal.
It definitely comes from the heart.
Yeah. And to know that people aren't alone, right? I think that this is really important to communicate for people that are going through a loss is, yes, it happens to all of us in various ways, right? You and I share that experience of having lost a baby, and knowing that it happens doesn't make it any easier.
No.
Right?
Yep.
But it is something that is human that happens to all of us. And I think that that's just the humanity of our sector that I think is really beautiful. So thank you for sharing that with us. I really appreciate that.
Just going through that, the funeral director and the cemetery staff during my own experience was such a big help.
Wow.
And when I saw that posting, I just knew that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be that support, that help for that next family that might be going through the same thing or something similar, whether it's a young life, a middle life lived, or a life that was so fulfilled, that had the pleasure to live to 90 something.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be there for the family. So that's kind of where I am today. Started with the company, and then I did bug Paul for a position there, as I saw a posting for Woodlawn, and he promised me bring me back in a year, and sure enough, I reached back out because I couldn't let him forget about me.
Yeah. How could he forget about you?
And then he brought me on, and I've been at Woodlawn now for about 9 years. So
amazing.
About 10 years in the industry, but 9 years at Woodlawn there. So
yeah,
here amazing.
I am today. Amazing, and a way to give back, right? And I love that impact of that the people had on your life at that time and how that affected you. I just think that is a beautiful story. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
So here at GFD, we do a fair amount of research, and we send out consumer surveys to sort of get a sense of what people are thinking about. And one of the things that I think is really interesting is that of our respondents, so half of them are uninterested in cemetery activities. But we notice that half tends to be boomers or people who are a little bit older. And so we sort of wonder, is that because they're closer to, or is it because it's just a generational shift? But that millennials and younger generations are very interested in events at the cemetery. Does that sort of play out for you in the work that you do in your events?
I think it's a good middle to both. So when we have our events, we have our Mother's Day Walk to Remember, as you mentioned, there, our Father's Day Classic Car Night. Those events we seem to bring all ages, whether it's families that we've served, just members from the community coming out. The Classic Car Show, we've had, I think it was like over 120 cars come out.
Oh, that's incredible.
We have
and do you have them like just in the cemetery?
Yeah,
I know
in the
your
cemetery.
Yeah,
so
you
in
just
the
like have them
lined up around like our cemetery rows,
so
roads.
cool.
Respectfully, they're not on any grave space or such. But we have food vendors, food trucks come out, members of the community come out and just enjoy the night. We have some music going. So we use it as exactly what it is, like a park, where we invite our families, but also members of the community to come in to see, to kind of maybe break that stigma as well of, cemeteries, scary, a little bit creepy. So let's know that it's also a warm and inviting place that they can come. And for that, I see all ages that come through. I will say for when it comes to events or interest, there is a lot of genealogy that we do at Woodlawn. Our cemetery dates back to 1854, so a lot of generations that are coming to do research on their past family members and ancestors. Yep, so we do have a volunteer that comes in once a week, and she kind of helps out with those requests.
And so like the community knows that that's the day you can go in and you can get all your
info. It's any day, but we just have the volunteer specifically that one day that comes in, just to kind of help with that. And then we will either email or give them a call to say the information that we have, the most that we can find, is ready for you to come pick up. So that's kind of another service that we do too.
That is so interesting. I hadn't made that connection before, right? Of how, because that is something that people are very interested in now. And it just sort of speaks, I think, to the importance of cemeteries as sort of a holding in sanctity our history and our genealogy. Yeah. And how far back does the cemetery go?
1854.
1854.
Yeah,
that's
so
incredible.
Quite a historic cemetery.
Yeah.
Lots of knowledge and stories to share there from families that have been there, kind of Guelphites as they call themselves, that have been born and raised. Yeah. And then, new members to the community as well. So a very diverse cemetery. We have certain faith groups that are there, but we're non-denominational. So again, it just kind of everyone is welcome at Woodlawn.
Everyone is welcome at Woodlawn. I love it. And so if you're listening, I'm going to sort of speak to our, what did you call them, Guelphites?
Yes.
Speaking to the Guelphites, if you have not been to this cemetery, it is beautiful. It is my favorite kind of cemetery, I have to say. I have favorite kind of funeral homes and I have favorite kind of cemeteries. My favorite cemetery is the Woodlawn Cemetery style. It's like old and rambling, but majestic. And so it feels, when I say old, not in the negative sense, sort of in the sense of
kind of the big mature trees, fulfilled areas. And then to that, we have just kind of on the other side of our property there, another about 30 acres, and that's our our newer area. So that's kind of our future,
Right.
Which is certainly a hidden gem, because when I first went, I kind of thought Woodlawn was full when I first got
Oh, is
hired
that
on.
right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
definitely a
yeah,
misconception. There is lots of space there.
Yeah, because it's over sort of on the side. I can picture it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So on the other side there, we have natural green burial that we've just going to be opening up
awesome.
later this month there, and doing some information sessions.
Yeah.
Newer trees. So as we say, that we have kind of our historic, that it certainly serves the past and the present, but then we also have the newer area that serves the present and the future.
Yeah.
So
that is amazing. I feel like I could talk about your cemetery all day, but we do have some other things on our list today. So let's talk a little bit about what your typical day looks like.
So I'd like to say there's a typical day. I mean, I always start out
It's
with an
probably
agenda.
like the funeral home, right?
Yes.
Like you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
in a
you
day.
think, okay, I'll do my emails and I have these families scheduled, but then, you get a walk-in and you get an immediate need or an imminent need where you have to meet those families. So you kind of change your day. But typically, I do go in a little bit earlier to kind of set up for how my day is scheduled. Work on some files for families, reply to any emails. I usually use that time in the morning as well to prepare the marker layouts and monument designs from families that I met with previous. So just kind of really getting ready for the day. So should it kind of vary a little bit, I'm easily to kind of pick things back up and move on to the next family, or step in and help a family that might need it a little bit sooner.
So you kind of have to be able to adjust.
You have
right?
to adjust.
Like you just have to not be too focused on what the plan is.
You wouldn't, this isn't the industry for you if you're not a little bit flexible,
right.
And changing on how your schedule might be for that day.
Yeah, if you don't love that,
That's
it
right.
might not be the job for you, right? But if you love that, that's what I loved about when I was working frontline funeral services, that you just went into work and you never knew.
Every day was different.
Every day was different.
Yeah.
And it would sometimes be what you thought it might be, and then sometimes it would just turn into something else altogether. So especially on weekends.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
I was going to say, so the perk of that is we were just Monday through Friday. So I have my weekends to enjoy.
Hey, you, right? See, that's why the cemeteries and the funeral directors have friction sometimes. I want to talk a little bit about the memorial piece.
Okay.
So I did that work very briefly for maybe a couple of months, where I was helping people with designing monuments, and it was just not for me. Talk to me a little bit about that work, because it sounds like it would be very simple, but I found it to be complex and difficult to wade through, and also kind of stressful, because it's forever. Right?
Yes.
So whatever you're deciding, we're just in the process of finalizing my dad's monument a year and a half later. And I'm finding that stressful, because it's well, is this exactly what we want to have, or it's there forever, right? So talk to our listeners about what that experience is like.
So I really do recommend, when I meet with families, I usually do it in at least 2 to 3 meetings. The first I always just really recommend, and I call it our brainstorming session. With that, because it is something that will be a forever tribute to them. Sometimes families want to get it done, and I can certainly understand, because they feel that guilt, that grief to get it done right away.
Yes, yeah. And the people comment. This is the one thing we notice. People are like, oh, what? There's no monument there yet, right? It's well,
we need some time to think about it.
Yeah,
it's not something you can just think overnight.
That's right.
So I really do ask the families to kind of, let's just have that conversation. So we do our brainstorming. They kind of share some family stories, what their interests, hobbies, what they did together. It just then brings some ideas to mind. Right. And then from there, what I do is I kind of come up with a little bit of a draft, provide a quote. That way they can have some time to think about it. And I say that to them. Think about it.
Yeah.
Reach out with any questions.
Sign here today.
There's
so we
no
can get
signing,
this done.
because I'd rather a family take the time to think about what they might want, versus rushing into something and then have regret.
Yeah.
That is my biggest regret, is to have a family regret a memorial, whether it's an upright monument, a flat marker, a bronze plaque. It is a forever tribute to their loved one to represent them. So you really do have to take that time for it.
I think that's a really important point to just sort of accent for anyone who might be listening who is in the process of this. If you're feeling pressured to get something done quickly, or if you feel an internal pressure or societal pressure to get stuff done, just take your time.
Take your time.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You will make better decisions when you take your time.
And they'll appreciate it so much more afterwards.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about so we talked about the chaos sometimes that can go along with the job. We talked about the changing things. How do you balance like the emotional piece of the business with the business side of the business?
So I do put on I just have a moment where I kind of regroup before I go in to meet a family, especially if it maybe will hit a little bit closer to home, depending on the situation.
There are some, right? Like there are some situations that you're just like, you just feel it more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And sometimes it can be really random. Sometimes it's like something that you went through. Or I think sometimes for me, it's something imagining something horrific, like imagining it onto yourself.
Yeah, it's what I've been through. It's, having that friend that passed suddenly, very young in life. It's having, a grandparent pass away. So no matter what the loss is, there's always that connection to it as well that we've gone through. Yeah. So it's just really focusing on the family when I'm with them. And if they're sharing a story and it just kind of hits a little bit close, I shed that tear. I show that emotion, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It lets them know that I am human. It lets them know that I do feel and I am here to support them and that they're not alone. And that's the biggest thing, is knowing that we want the families to know that we're here to support them, that they have us in their corner, so to speak.
And that you are like
and
a
they
real
appreciate
person,
that.
right?
Yeah, and they appreciate it. I think they take what then I say a little bit more sincere. They take it a little bit closer to heart.
Yeah.
Because they don't feel like it's kind of robotic or the response that I should be saying.
Right.
So yeah, I have my moment with them, and then we move forward and make arrangements. And if it's really something at the end, once I've served that family, I'll just kind of take my own time. So I might go for a walk, or if it's just a really bad day and I kind of have my drive home, is usually when I decompress as well. That's my own quiet time.
Yeah.
I'll do that. And if I get home and I just need more time, I just, my husband's usually like, how's your day? And sometimes I'll say, I'm operating at 5%, or I just need 5 minutes. And he's like, I got you.
Yeah.
So it's having that support at home as well to kind of keep that front running when I might just need a little bit of time to break down or just step away.
Yeah. I think there's two things there that I want to dig into a little bit. And the first thing I think is that balance of and how hard it is as a professional to be able to balance your own emotional responses with making sure that, like, when you're in this work, you know that you need to be that support, right? Like, that's your role. You need to be the rock.
Yeah.
And so you have to make sure that you're not going so far in your emotional response, or in showcasing your emotional response, that people feel that support is eroding, right?
Yes.
So that's so hard to do. And I don't know, like, do you have a formula for that? Is there or is it just sort of a...
No, I think if I've kind of shown a little bit of emotion there, I think generally what we do is we just, I don't want to say laugh it off, because it's not the way I'm meaning for that to come across.
Yeah, not laugh.
But we kind of just take like a breath and we're like, okay, we got this. Like, we'll continue to go through.
Yeah.
So just making a little bit more lighter of it, as we maybe just had a really, serious or intense moment together. With just maybe sharing that story or that experience that they had just gone through.
I think it shows like the importance of understanding at a visceral level, but also being able to have the emotional intelligence to be able to realize that, okay, I need to transition from this moment for that family, right? So I think that's tricky. And I know a lot of people, when I was training people coming into the profession, they'd be like, well, how much should I show? And it's like, you kind of just have to feel it as you go.
Be yourself.
Right?
Yeah. I think if we really overthink it, or we try and be something that we're not, it shows. And I think you just need to be your authentic self, because it goes such a long way when meeting with families.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when people can see that you're genuine, it makes such a difference. The other thing that I want to sort of dig into a little bit is what you talked about making sure that you're caretaking for yourself. Because I can tell you, like, I'm a little bit longer in the tooth than you in this profession. Yeah. And the ethos of my dad's day and the ethos of my day starting was, buck up, sunshine. You got a job to do. You just keep going, right? Yep. There was no
self-care,
no self-care, no talking about it even, right? It's like, that day. Or you might laugh about things, right? So you have sort of the dark humor side that happens in any difficult profession. But it's that self-care piece that is starting to happen that you talked about, that I think is so important. And so is that something that you sort of brought yourself and recognized for yourself, or is that something that somebody helped you figure out you needed to do?
No, I really did it on my own, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest. Yeah, because I'm very much one to, as you mentioned, just keep rolling with it, just keep going. And I found myself kind of burning out on all ends. So whether it was at home, in my athletic sports time or my family time, I just knew I needed to do something. So certainly taking that time and just being like, you know what, I just need 5 minutes, not a half hour, not an hour, just I need 5 minutes to sit quietly and reset. And that works for me. So that's just kind of what I've been doing when I need it. And then I kind of move on to the next.
But recognizing that you need it,
Yes.
right? And so then, because otherwise, if you don't sort of take that 5 minutes or however long you need to work through and process that emotional experience, then you bring it into everything. You bring it into your family life. You bring it into your soccer game.
Yeah.
Which maybe could help.
A little bit of
that.
that.
Plan, right? So we are just about out of time. And so I want to end with having you talk to us about what you feel is the most rewarding part of your job.
Making the family's journey through their grief just a little bit easier. And I say that to every family. Anytime I'm done with them, I thank them for sharing their stories, that it's an honor to serve them, to have them invite me into kind of part of their family. And whether it's the pre-arrangements where I'm meeting with husband and wife together and they're telling me their stories, they then say like, I'm now part of their extended family.
Yeah.
So that's very humbling to hear that. And when it's an immediate at need or imminent need that'll be approaching, having the family say thank you. You really made this part a little bit easier for us. We thought it was going to be much harder. That's what I'm there for. So to me, just hearing that and receiving that feedback from those families, that's the reward in itself for me.
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been such a pleasure to have you on this episode, and I've enjoyed our conversation so much. I feel like we could keep talking for a while. So for those who are listening, we hope that today's conversation with Christina gave you a clearer look at the realities of cemetery management and the care it takes to balance the business side and the compassionate side. And I think that I love the fact that we talked a little bit about how we can take care of ourselves too, because that's so important.
You have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. If you found today's discussion valuable, be sure to follow, leave a comment, and share Digging Deep with your colleagues or anyone else that you can think of in your life who may find this podcast valuable. Your support helps us to keep bringing important conversations like this to the profession and to the broader community. Until next time, I'm Heather Kiteley. Keep on digging deep.